So, this past Thursday in LA's Echo Park Lake, uh, there was a protest about the homeless people that were living there. There was a camp that they had set up, and they didn't want the people to be removed because supposedly LA was complaining about that they needed to make repairs in the park that is supposedly temporary and so on and so forth, and that they needed to get these people out this park. Of course, because of COVID, it's increased. You know, the population of the homeless people that were living there had increased because people were losing their homes and so on and so forth, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and so a bunch of people went down there to defend these people, which was an honorable thing. And it seems like, of course, the city is going to complain about, oh, there's violence and drugs and so on and so forth. There were shootings and so on and so forth. This is dangerous. We need to fix the park because of the stuff that was going on down there. As you can see in these images, they looked like they were going down there to stop a riot, right? It looks pretty crazy. These are people talking to the police, complaining about, what the hell's going on. Like, you can't kick these people out. They have nowhere to go, so on and so forth. And, it's typical, police stuff that's going on. Care not cops. They'd rather have people, providing locations these people, and so on and so forth. They had people, here lying in the streets, to defend it. Another person in a tent, and look at that. It looks like they're going out to, go get a murderer or something, right? It's pretty crazy, right? So I have some video to show you what's going on. Supposedly also, I believe it was the mayor. I believe it was. I don't know if it was a governor or mayor. Of course, like, I got that mixed up again as always, but first off, they started the protest at 8 p.m. and they were supposedly supposed to finish at 10:30 p.m. After 10:30 p.m., the police claimed that there were agitators and people, not leaving or whatever, so they had to start making arrests. There weren't really serious injuries or anything like that. Thank God it didn't escalate too much because these were relatively peaceful protesters. But of course, they're there to get the homeless people out, and we'll see in the video, like, some of the stuff that was going on. Yeah, and that's the fences after they removed the people or whatever. So, yeah, so those were the fences of the people, that removed, to lock them out of the area. Supposedly they were saying, oh, we did what we had to do, it's for the better, it's to create a safer environment for people in that park, and they needed necessary repairs or whatever, and that the city supposedly has locations that they would provide for these people, and that there were plenty of programs that these people could have utilized, and so on and so forth. Of course, I think they handled it horribly. It could have been worse. Thank God people didn't get, killed or whatever, or injured, seriously from it. But, I personally think it was due to the homeless thing, because they're talking about how this neighborhood's up and coming, and they're saying they're gentrifying the area. So it's kind of like, an area that I'm assuming that it's good for real estate and so on and so forth. And, we all know what that means, right? They're doing this for these people to come in and have an environment that that isn't filled with homeless people all over the place. So yeah, how do you guys feel about all this? Like, we've all seen this before,
I
right?
was I was going to state that Echo Park Lake is it has been in a bunch of films, so it's because the encampment became large. I am not. By the way, I am behind. I'm with the protesters here,
Me
but at
too.
the same time, it's very difficult because two things happen. I'm going to state what Kelvin Martinez, an organizer with the advocacy group Street Watch LA, accused the city officials of bad faith communication. He said requests for services during the past year were largely ignored until the sudden announcement that the park would be closed. The city's strategy is to displace these people into dark corners, into hiding under overpasses, as long as they're not visible in public places like a park, is what Martinez said. So I just wanted to add that to it. Also, though, there is a major issue with the homeless population of the entire United States, but especially cities where people, I mean, there's space for housing, but unfortunately what they put them through is through curfews, to go through like housing, and honestly all these things are all barriers to allowing people the rights to feel like they are autonomous people.
Hmm.
And that is what keeps a lot of these people in homelessness, is that they want to be autonomous, but going into these programs are not oftentimes actually services, but they feel like these restrictions that are put on them so that they are contained in a certain area. And that's not necessarily safer for them as well, especially during COVID. You, there were a lot of places, especially in New York, where the shelters were completely filled.
Yeah.
And that actually contributed to COVID spread. So, I mean, you have to understand that these people are coming from a reasonable argument about where they want to. Like, if you offer them real housing and found a way to, I mean, we're talking about housing on a much higher level if we really want to talk about it. That our housing costs shouldn't be this high anyway, right? That the rent is too damn high, and that these people should be allocated into spaces so that even if they're not the most beautiful spaces, they should have the autonomy to be who they are.
Yep.
And honestly, what we want to do is, it seems to be, we kind of want to police and patrol their behavior as well,
Yep.
and as if what their homelessness is due to their own fault in any way, and it doesn't matter if it's their fault or not. We should be supplying them services and not judging who they are. And at least that's the character that I thought that this country was supposed to be at.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, man. What kills me about the whole situation is just like they create the stipulations that, oh, you got to do this, 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 and that. Okay, but what if that's not what's going to help me be able to change my life? What if I need to work a night job or do whatever it is? I mean, they like you said, they create different situations that maybe might be unattainable for them to be able to do what they want them to do. You know what I mean? Like it might not be a realistic goals or realistic things. It's horrible, man. That's not the way to handle things, man. I, it's just like kind of. I look at this. I don't. It's not the same thing as voter suppression, but I feel like it's like almost like it. Like they create situations that make things difficult for absolutely no reason, just so that they can have some control over something. And it's like I said, it's not the same thing, but it's just like, why not just keep it simple? Why not allow these people to have the freedom that they need to? This country is supposed to be free, and they're supposed to feel like, cared for, right? They're not. This doesn't make them feel cared for. It's like, all right, you could do this, but we're gonna lock you in this box, and you got to stay in this box during this period of time. You got to act this certain way with these certain people around you, no matter what. You know what I mean? And that's the only way you're gonna get this. If not, sorry, good luck for you. You know what I mean? I wish you luck, and that's not right, man. I agree with you. How do you feel, Teresa? What do you think about this? Because we've
Uh,
all seen this before.
I think like homeless people, like especially the homeless populace, it's just like mental health in this country. We love to sweep it under the rug. We love to put it somewhere where nobody can see it and nobody has to talk about it or deal with it. You know, we don't try to come up with any real solutions for them. We just try to like, oh well, it's their fault that they're in the situation that they are, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's not true. We just are choosing not to. I know at one point they were trying to do like one state housing, like small houses for the homeless population that was over there, and that they were giving them places to live, and it was a whole community for homeless people, and they were providing social services and mental health services and trying to get people all back on their feet. But then that's also something that comes with stipulations and stuff too, and you know, it was a way for them to try to control, making sure that there were no drugs in their situation, you know, and they had certain things like, oh, you couldn't, they were giving them drug tests to make sure that they were not using or abusing drugs at the time, you know, so that they could stay in this housing, you know, and it, some people were following the stipulations, and then a lot of them were falling through the cracks, and we were failing our homeless people all over again, you know, in the same way. I completely agree, but it's just it's not it's not something that anybody wants to deal with. They don't want to try to help people. Like, we don't want to help people. We don't want to make a solution. We just want people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps themselves and figure out their own solutions. That's the American way, you know. There's so many other countries that help their homeless population so much better than we do, but you know, we don't want to take cues from anybody else. We just want to make sure that you don't see them. Stay under the freeways and stay in vacant housing and stay out of our way. We don't want to see you.
Quote unquote stable people, right? Stable people with well off lives that they don't have to worry about these things, making opinions and decisions for people that don't have. And that's not right. You know, like, instead of being sympathetic or whatever and creating scenarios where, like, you know, you think about the other person's like reasoning and why they do. Some of these people are doing drugs due to depression. You know, give them ways of fixing those problems, and you know, okay, give them housing, give them ways to fix it. You create a better environment for these people. You create a better environment for everybody. But instead, they're like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to be around these type of people in this type of neighborhood, and so on and so forth. And these are people that are living in the, you know, somewhere isolated in their mansion or wherever else, making these decisions, which is to me bullshit. You know, it pisses me off, like, seeing a lot of people, like I've talked about what they do here with the homeless out in here in Newark. They'll find the homeless people for panhandling. They'll find the drivers and, you know, driving up the street, you know, because if I'm driving or whatever it is, and a panhandler comes to my car and I want to give them $1 or $2 to help them, they'll find me less than they find the panhandler. And I'm like, this dude is struggling and you want to make him struggle more? I'm like, it's backwards thinking. Like, you want to give me money? I'm the one with the car. I'm the one that's driving and stopping and opening up my window, offering to help. You want to punish me for trying to help? Fine, do that. But no, they want to go to the weaker person. It's just ass backwards thinking, you know, to try to make it stop, you know, for whatever reason. And and of course, at the end of the day, it's for the real estate. They want the environment to look a certain way, you know, because of gentrification and so on and so forth. So they're just like Anthony said, putting them in places, you know, to get them kind of out of the picture so that nobody can see them. You know what I mean? And create situations that they're kind of forced to kind of be in their little bubble elsewhere, you know. And it's all horse shit, man. I don't know. How do you guys feel, man? What do you know, like, do you think this is going to change? Or you think it's always going to stay like this? This is capitalism too, right? I'm assuming a lot of this has to do with capitalism and people that are afraid to have, like, quote unquote, people that they're not used to being in their environment. You know, instead of like ew, it's a homeless person. Well, I don't want to have anything. Get them out of here. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to help them. They don't realize these people could have been them if something went wrong in their lives. You know, you can get into a car accident and lose everything because you got sued or something, right? And that it could totally destroy your life. And you could be that homeless person at any point in your life But they don't even think of it that way. They think, well, it hasn't happened to me, so I don't have to care about these freaking people, right? That's what they're thinking, right? It's I think it was honorable that these protesters did what they did. I just wish, it really didn't do much in a sense of other than I'm only talking about this because I want it to be recognized by other people, but it really doesn't do much because they're going to end up shutting things down anyway and doing what they're going to do unless it's a fight like a violent protest. Then people might listen, and even then it might create worse situations for other people. And I'm like I said, I don't want a violent protest, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like it takes a lot to actually persuade these politicians and people to do something that's actually going to be effective. But I don't
We
know.
could only highlight the situation. I will tell you from a completely from my view on capitalism and the fact that it doesn't really affect it doesn't make unless we believe in a more socialist government in some way, we're not going to supply services to these people. So
Yep.
it's going to take a lot of this kind of reaction, continuous reaction. And I'm not going to go into the numbers, but it was saying the population in LA went up like 12% of
Wow.
homeless population, which is the highest concentration in the state of California. So it just means that it's going to take a lot of effort to get people to start considering this as a real problem. And look, with all the other problems that we have in the world, we have gun issues, we have nationalism issues, we have people who are conspiracy theorists right now, we have Nazis literally
Yeah.
running around. So
We're not getting
it's
stimulus
very
either.
difficult.
That we're not
I
getting
just got
stimulus to
mine
help people.
finally.
Oh, great. Amen, brother. But you understand, like a lot of people
Finally.
aren't getting this stuff. A lot of people aren't getting the
Nope.
resources that they need. So what do you think it's going to do? It's a cause and effect situation, right? They're gonna deprive people of stuff, and then all of a sudden the moratorium's going to go bye bye, and then these people are going to have to pay up, and there's going to be more homeless people and more people struggling. And it's enraging because it's like these people want to make decisions on what to do with the people that they consider, I guess, riffraff in their life, right? These riffraff, they got to go, they've got to put them somewhere under the bridge or under the in a cave somewhere. It kind of reminds me of was it, not Chappie, what is it, District 9? Was it District 9 where they kept people like in like the slums or whatever, and then the other people lived in a different. It was, I forget which movie it was.
There's so many dystopian
It was like a dysto. It's like
movies
yeah, but
that are
it
like
feels
that.
like it, like that, like it's developing into something where the rich people live in the clouds while the people live in the scummy earth. You know what I mean? Like like that's what it feels like or down in the depths of the earth somewhere, like mole people or
Talking
something.
about that Mark Wahlberg movie.
I don't know. There's a bunch of movies like that where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess that's why people can relate and kind of like them sometimes because it's you think about it, it's like it's kind of like feels like it's a little real in some ways. Like the rich people they're doing their thing and they kind of want to, like bury us with crap to keep us out of out of their view, and that's evil, man. We're supposedly a Christian or a Catholic nation or whatever it is, and we're supposed to love each other and care for each other, and that's not what people are doing in most cases. So yeah, that pisses me off, man.